manager of shelters for Victoria Kool-Aid Society.
I worked at Tourism Victoria in the Info Centre downtown on the Inner Harbour.
I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I've been making films with the homeless for about 20 years.
I've done different types of work in the past, and this is, I guess, the one type of work that seems to be going in the direction that I would like our community to go in. So I decided a long time ago that if I wasn't happy with the way things were around me, I could either leave or work towards social change.
I was a tourism information counselor there. Basically, we had a month of training where we learned everything there is to know about Victoria. We toured hotels and all that sort of thing, went to restaurants, and then we are the front line at the information center. So when tourists come in and have questions that they are wondering about, we do whatever we can to answer them.
I now work here in Victoria with homelessnation.org, which is a website where there are over almost 2,000 members, and they're all homeless across Canada. And we provide a free web page, and we upload video, audio, photographs, and blogs of homeless people. And the idea is to give a voice to homeless people and to allow them to create community amongst themselves to hopefully affect change. Yeah, Victoria has a large tourist industry.
Well, obviously the downtown core is affected by homelessness. As far as tourists go, yes, I did have, throughout the summer, I did have several people complain to me about how bad it is here. I don't say per se that it's actually affecting our tourism. I think that there's other issues that are affecting our tourism, and that's why it's down right now. But yes, I think people do notice it. It is definitely an issue here in Victoria.
I think that if people are on holidays, if people are coming here as far as for a tourism perspective to get a break from their everyday lives or work, to have a holiday, they probably don't want to be confronted with reality that much. I mean, they probably want to just do what they want to do and, don't have a lot of demands and things on them. So that I know that Calcutta, for example, is not the most popular tourist destination. People tend to like resorts, at least some people do. So if you've got a business here in town and you're relying on that tourist group to come through to provide for your family and your employees, then the reality of homelessness on the streets of Victoria would probably be a bit annoying.
Tourism is an industry about image, and it's an image that people want to attract people with, and that image for the Chambers of Commerce and the Ministry of Tourism and commercial corporate groups that try to attract tourists here, they are looking at an image that is from some sort of dreamscape where they've created in their minds, and they've airbrushed out all of the things that are just reality.
From my point of view, the effect on tourism is somewhat secondary to actually keeping people alive. Sheltering them, finding them appropriate resources, setting them up with the three things we always try to find for people is a place to be, an income so they can afford it, and then appropriate supports. So someplace to be, something to do, and someone to talk to. Finding people those things, if I do that, if we can all together as a community do that, then tourism won't be an issue, because people will be housed. People will be not on the street corner begging for change, or not doing all the things that I might do behind my doors at home, out on the street. The street is it's people's kitchens, it's their bathrooms, it's their bedrooms, it's everything, because they have no place to be. So if we take care of that, tourism will take care of itself.
Yeah, there's a huge change in the homeless population here in Victoria in the last 5 to 10 years, particularly just in numbers. It's increased exponentially.
Well, I've been in this community now for the last 10 years, so it's kind of hard to compare, because I think the overall awareness has gone up everywhere. So certainly in our community we can talk about things like harm reduction and safe injection sites and things like that.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't part of the conversation before.
Definitely.
So I think the need has gone up everywhere. The homelessness percentage of people that are homeless has probably gone up everywhere.
Yeah.
So the same conversations are happening back and forth. I believe it was 1998 that Canada declared homelessness a national housing crisis. So here we are 9 years in, and I'm not sure exactly how much better we are at addressing it.
But you know what? I've noticed more like junked out people lately. Just people that you see and you're just so taken aback by how screwed up they are. You know, like they're obviously on something and they're obviously like just wigging out, and it's really kind of sad and disturbing.
We have, the estimates are between 2,000 and 3,000 active intravenous drug users on the lower island here. So you've also got rampant infection rates with Hep C, Hep A, and HIV. So these folks are not going to have the support to be able to just stop tomorrow. They're going to continue to use. So while you're moving along that path, while you're trying to keep people alive, basically, until they can get to that spot where they can reduce or eliminate their addiction problems, you can either have them using used needles, sharing them around and shooting up by using puddle water, or you can provide needles and bleach and at least cut down on the infection rates of HIV and Hep C and all those things that will complicate their lives even more.
A survey that was just done in Victoria, there was a question on it that said basically that you are at risk of being homeless if you spend more than 50% of your income on rent. So that's a huge percentage of the population who are the working poor. If you're working for minimum wage for a long period of time at one job, you could still get sick for a couple of weeks and you don't have your job, and therefore you can't pay next month's rent and you're on the street. And there are a lot of people in that position in this society, and I think it's catching up to us.
Well, what I really wonder, and what I wondered, like when Vancouver was bidding for the Olympics and all that stuff, was we have so many issues within BC, you know, right now with homelessness, drug addiction, all those kind of things. Like on the Lower East Side, it's supposed to be most heroin addicted people per capita. Why are we spending millions of dollars to have an event that only rich people can go to? And why aren't we putting more funding into helping these people, you know?
It would take something that we can all agree to. It would take something that businesses can buy into, neighbors and residents that can buy into, that social service providers, the government, and the homeless themselves can buy into. I think that would look a lot like a 10-year plan, where, you know, a lot of communities in the States, a lot of cities, and Calgary is in fact trying to pull together what's called a 10-year plan to eliminate or at least substantially reduce homelessness.
It's such a problem, we have to really stop pushing it away. We need to start embracing it and helping them, you know? And I think that they are taking small steps by having the safe injection sites and all those things, but, you know, drug addiction and that kind of thing, most people on the street are addicted to drugs, and drug addiction is a disease, and we need to start treating it that way.
And a 10-year plan would be meaning you'd have some guiding principles to start off with, and one of the first ones is from the street to homes. So you don't go through this whole long series of transitional housing units, but you go right to a permanent home that could be called your own.
Yeah.
Another one would be that you treat everybody in the community as your community. You don't just not do it because you think if you start to build, then everyone else in Canada will suddenly move here. It hasn't been proven out to happen. So.
Yeah.
And you look at what your community needs are over the next 5 or 10 years and try and get on top of the problem. Those communities in the States, like New York and like Chicago, that have put 10-year plans into place, my throat's a bit dry, and are like something like 5 years into them, are seeing a reduction in homelessness on the streets and in general. And it's because they're building housing units at the end of the day.